Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to episode number 36 here on the Motorsports Almanac, joined by Wyatt and Charles. Fellas, how's it going?
Going well.
PRI is over. Classes are over. It's time for break.
Yeah, had a great time up at the
What is a
PRI.
break? I don't know what that is anymore.
No,
Very true.
yeah, we had a great time up at the PRI show in Indianapolis, and we are going to go over that a little bit later on. What we saw, who we ran into, and everything else in between. But first, we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Terry Benson. We have talked about this one for a little while. Super excited, Mr. Terry. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you having me on. More than I could expect, but
Yeah, this was a name that whenever we were talking about bringing you on, this was one that we really wanted to have happen. Just with your history and everything, especially going back into, well, my class now, you were the very first winner of the Super Farm class at the National Farm Machinery Show, right?
yep, I won the finals that year. Yep, in 2002.
And ever since then, you've always been in pulling, building vehicles, and doing other things for them as far as that goes. But now you've also you're a driver for a light limited super stock when you're not building other tractors.
Yeah, that's when we built at Bill Digenhart's shop. Joe Digenhart and I built that for Roland Thompson, and I fill in for him because Roland's a truck driver, and sometimes he can't get off the road, and I'll be there and I'll fill in for him. And he was in an accident this past summer, so he was laid up. So I did most of the driving except for a couple of times. So he's gotten better. He's back working now, and we always wish Roland the best. And we'll get his tractor back out there and get it here. We're kind of giving her a little overhaul this winter because it's only had the oil pan off at one time since we built it, and it all looked good. But then we kind of spun a bearing or something. So Joe's going through the motor and stuff and get her back out next summer again.
Yeah, always love seeing that one come down here with us. Whenever you guys decide to make the trip down south, I had the chance to see you guys run Murfreesboro last year for the first time in person, which was really neat. But you guys have kind of made a point to make a couple of Mid-South hooks a year down here.
Yeah, we've been there. Like we went to Lexington last winter, and we had been to that one in Tennessee at that FFA pull. We went last
Woodbury, I think.
Woodbury, yeah. We enjoyed it down there. We met a lot of good people down there, Richard Taylor and Ethan Weston. We've got a real good relationship with them after going down there. They're super great people. Yeah, we're friends on Facebook, and yeah, great people.
You guys have even made over.
Are you guys going to come to Cloverdale with it?
No, she's all tore apart right now because we're going through the motor, and Joe had tore the motor apart, and then I need to get parts and everything and figure out what all we got to do. We had to get the crank worked on. And then Joe did a paint job for one of their customers, a farm Magnum tractor. So he did that, and that turned out so beautiful. And Joe can paint like you wouldn't believe, and he did an immaculate job on that tractor. Just more than showroom. You could take it to a show and shine almost. It turned out that nice. So he'll get back on Roland's motor and get that going. Then the digging hard tractor needs a paint job this winter too, because we rebuilt that last winter. Joe and I did, so that'll get a paint job this winter too.
And if
you can, and you win 6250 finals Saturday night, extra $1,000 from me. So just saying,
light limited Super Boys. We've got what, Charles, 29 right now.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah. I'm sure. I bet you we would try and come down if we could, but
No, it's all good. It's part of it. I get it. I'd love to see you there, but it's
maybe next year.
Yeah.
And like this isn't a one-time deal. Like I'll do this again. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Because sometimes we're going to say something in the winter. I started back in pulling back. I used to be with the Walsh brothers back when they had the modifieds in their two-wheel drive back in the early 90s and stuff. That's how I kind of cut my teeth. And then I started, when we go to Bowling Green, I started hanging around with the diesel super stock guys. That's how I got to know a lot of them and hung out with the right people. And that's how I got to basically where I am now. And good friends with Esden and Rob Russell. You know, the history of Rob Russell and I, we owned the Red Storm together, and that was quite a driving. We had a good deal with that tractor together, and yeah, he could tell me right over the phone what to do with it and stuff. Like when we were in Louisville that year, I didn't even hardly have a cell phone back then. He always gave me a heck about not having a cell phone, and you know, you go to Louisville, I've always learned qualifying, you just got to qualify. It's like Daytona. You qualify 5th or 6th and make the finals. That's what Esden and I, when I went with Esden to Louisville a lot, that first night, just qualifying round, you get ready for Saturday night, and then you go and win your finals. So that's kind of what I did there. And I rode down, we went down with Brett Berg, and Brett was my pit man that weekend, and he was set the track, and we'd do it, and then called Rob up, and he told me just what to do over the phone. So then on Saturday during the day, I got my clutch adjusted and did some air pressure checking and got things straightened out. And a lot of people wouldn't believe it. A lot of people were shifting down, but actually I shifted up a gear and it worked out. And because we always had to set our tractor up because we were probably a little bit low on power. So Rob always had to set it up so it would die on the end. It wouldn't, and it worked out always for us. So, yeah. So he could.
So what's that like? Take us through a run. You're in the driver's seat. What are the motions you're going through? What are you trying to achieve? You see the track and read it, and it tells you what you want to see. You see it, you read it. What's the hand to hand through the run? What are you looking for, and how are you setting up the tractor, and then how do you drive it? I want to hear from your perspective, like second to second. How does it go?
Well, it starts out, you go out and look at your track. You kind of, I learned to read tracks from Dave Walsh a lot when I was with them, and you always got to look for hills and valleys in your track. You don't want to get the pan's got to stay kind of level in your tractor. And you surely don't want to start out in somebody else's ruts. So then you just kind of go from there. And we were back in the day, we like to keep our front end down. It didn't do our tractor any good to even lift the front end. All 4 wheels might have been turning when we pulled our super farm because it did the best on the ground. So that was always what we did. And we had kind of I shouldn't say state of the art, but we had a lot of movable weight, and we could do that because that tractor, we could make it. It almost only weighed 7,000 pounds back in the day. So we had a lot of weight to put on it, and we could do whatever we wanted to. So, and then just a matter of hitting your air pressure. We had good tires back then too, because we had spades on when we first built it, because we went to Toma with it. And when we first built it, we had old ag tire spades on. And the first run we ever made with the track, first time I ever driven anything like it, we won Toma. And it was kind of a funny deal because I had been down to Rob's a few weeks before that, and we getting the motor put together, and Rob had a crank there laying, come out of the old workhorse super stock, and he said, we'll use that one there, but the front snout wasn't drilled and tapped for the damper. So it was hot that weekend, and he made me tap that crank out, and we'd be in the old shop there, and that tap would start squeaking, it would lock right up. And he was squirting this green stuff on there, and I couldn't figure out. Pretty soon, he just worked that tap a little bit back. And this sweat was just rolling off because I didn't want to break that tap off in that crank, And I go, why don't we just take this machine shop? No, be patient. We're good. That thing would just lock right up. He squirt that green stuff on there, and I go, finally I asked him, what is that green stuff you're putting on there? Yeah, antifreeze. I go, he says, you can put oil on there, but oil creates heat. Antifreeze a coolant. So he knew what he's doing. So we had got that crank and got the motor kind of putting back together. So I went back home and finished up the chassis, and then they come a week later and picked it up to go take and put the motor in it. And he called me up and he said, well, I can't get that motor to run very good. But we brought it to Toma, and it wasn't running at all. Nobody really knew me. Well, they knew me from being around Walsh there, and who would ever expect me to come out with a tractor there. And then Jerry Legod and Jeff from Hypermax were there, and they were all around the tractor because Rob, they were trying to figure out, they were changing the timing and everything. Finally, they said, here we go. They kind of did something with the timing. I didn't know the first thing. I was nervous. heck, because I'd never driven it. And the side shields weren't even there because they were still at the just getting painted. So John or Dave and Dan Walsh's dad came to pull and delivered them there. And I think the paint was still wet when we put them on. I never driven the tractor, backed it around a little bit, got towed around, and away we went. And when we pulled, the smoke barely even cleared the roll cage. We didn't have enough power to blow the smoke out of the stack hardly, and just snuck her down there. And we ended up getting first place. And Norm Cavan, great competitor he got third that day. I can't remember who got second. It's besides the point, but it was so close because I only beat him by a little bit, and then Norm was back just a little bit. So, but then Rob loaded it back up, took it back to Iowa, and we brought it the next weekend. They got the motor, found out what was wrong with it, and we went to the old pull-up by the church up there, Mackville, and we got a first and a third that weekend with it. So we had a good summer with it, and then just progressed from there. And that was just a little 540s all we had in it then, and so we did pretty good. We always were a little bit under horsepower, but we made it work.
Yeah.
So I got Rob was the grinding force to that, making the power, and we had profab tranny, and we had a lot of things. We might have been the first super farm to have a computer on, because we could put a computer on the second year we had it back then. So it was, and I didn't know nothing. I wasn't very Trekkie. Didn't know how to read. Couldn't even download it. So one time I was at a pull down in Indiana. I think I was pulling the ATPA or something back then. And Doug Sabatka, he was living in Indiana, and I was coming up through, and Rob said, "You got to stop at Doug's and get him to read that computer, download that computer." And it was pouring rain. I pulled in there in the middle of the night, and Doug was up waiting for me, and he got the chip out of the computer and everything. Half the roof off my trailer had torn off, and so I'm out in the pouring rain, pop ribbon and the roof back down on my trailer, and he got it there, and we got her tuned up. I forget where we went. I went from there, and it just worked out. I couldn't do nothing with that computer. I still probably can't now. But.
What is it in a run when like, do you feel it through the clutch? Do you feel it through your hand throttle? Do you feel it through your butt up through the seat? When do you know the tractor took a set and now it's go time? What are you looking for? What are you feeling? Well,
there's a lot of guys out there, a lot more, know more about that than me. But I always said, when you get down there, when that pan drops and it plants you and you're moving, because you guys, Shane and Wyatt and Charles, that first 150 to 200 feet is where your pull is won or lost. Because when that pan drops, you better be moving and let that just hit you and go. And it would plant you back in the seat, and you're locked in, and that's about when And when you're taking off, you can feel it in that throttle too when you're bringing up the RPMs, and it's just I've never the light limited super now that I drive. That's I've never driven Essens or nothing like that, and don't have the desire to. I like working on more than anything now, but I do like driving Roland's tractor because it's a pretty good ride for what it makes pretty good power and puts you pretty good. And so, but I just like working on and helping, most of anything.
If he said, "You want to drive this," you're going to say no?
Well, I don't know. He always said that's a handful. You couldn't handle it, but I don't know. That's I'm just good working out there, because Essen we've gotten a relationship over the years. He trusts me on setting where to go on the track. I can spot sled for him. He ain't afraid to it. And actually, Rob Russell, over the last years with his pro stock, we were at Hillsboro and got there, and I got we got towed up, and he handed me the wrench to set the drawbar, and we got back over in the hot pit area there, and he says, "You know what I let you do, don't you?" And I says, "Yeah." He says, "Nobody usually sets my drawbar, but you got to do it." So then I did actually set his help him with air pressure one time too. So that made me feel pretty good that Rob let me set his drawbar, because he's pretty particular. And so if he trusts me, I think, and Essen, I can do that, because in the setup with Essen, we're pretty much on the same page. We know what his tractors do and stuff, and so it's really fun. So that's awesome. What I enjoy the most about it. And I learned a lot that from Walsh's, when I was with them. setup is a lot. A lot of people, you see guys out there with their equalizer on their tires, which is a great thing, but we always just relied on going each tire to tire and get your air pressure set up. But setup is a lot, you can miss it or hit it. And we've done both, but so we've been pretty successful, I guess, with helping.
I'm not going to ask you to reveal the secret sauce necessarily, because I don't think that'd be a fair question. But what are you looking for out of a track? What do you want to see it do that will, I don't want to say respond for red line fever or any specific thing, but what are you looking for out of a track? What do you want to see?
Well, I don't, when I don't go out and poke a track like that, that's more of a small tire guy. You see the 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive mini guys, because they're light and, the small tires to get in, they don't want that soft spot. But my big thing is consistency. And you can see I always go out there when they're working it to see where because that's when you really see your wet spots.
Right.
I'll go out and watch them build a track when they're working it in, because you'll see your wet spots. And anyway, you know where to kind of stay away. And then you go out there and get the feel of it, how it ain't crumbly, how it packs together. That is the feel. I've lived on a farm my whole life, so you get a little feel for dirt, packing, there's different spots in a track. And I'm not saying I'm very good at it, but that feel, it's got to stay together when you put a handful and crush it together. Don't just fall back apart. But a track is a track. I always say everybody pulls on the same track. There is bad tracks. Granted, we've all seen them, and from daytime to nighttime, they can change. But in the long run, we all pull on the same track. So, don't always. Sometimes a promoter, hasn't done it quite right, but in the long run, we all pull on the same track. So overcome that and do your best, and that's all you can do. Some people hit it, some don't, but in the long run, we all pull on the same track, whether it be good track, bad track, or whatever. So me and Ezen have made a saying now: there's no bad tracks, just bad setups. But it's just kind of a joke.
I've heard him say that.
It's kind of a deal. There's no bad tracks, they're just bad setups. But it's a joke, and I use it Saturday. I use it Saturday night at the banquet, and they kind of looked at me and they go, "What's that mean?" And I said, "Well, it's a inside joke a little bit." And then because you can miss your setup even on a good track. When you miss it on a good track, then you're really in trouble, because
pretty quick.
Yeah, because you can't control the track. You can only control your tractor when it goes on.
That's right.
It.
Yeah. And like we learned in the limited light super, we're a little bit light on the front end, especially on roller tractor, because that has a big motor and big block, what I call big block international. So we're heavy to, so our movable weight, it all depends on the scale. We try and get, what's nice with that is you don't ever miss your weight set up, because it's all down the front, then it's a lot of air pressure then, and stuff. But yeah, so it's kind of a challenge sometimes. And we're kind of hurting on tires right now, because the 30-point pro pullers are come out, and a lot of guys that in Wisconsin State and Region 3 can scale them, and we can't. So try to put a little bit of a diet, but them are just still going to be too heavy for us. So maybe there's a tire coming out that we can try out on there. And Mark Korth at K3 Tires, we took the tires to him this past summer, and he turned them tires around. I ain't saying we got the best set, but we do have a good set of the old 10-ply Firestones there. And he turned them around. He changed the lug a little bit and made them, they work. Because the first time out with them out of the box, I got a third. And then we took it to Lancaster, and Casey Lear drove it, got a first. So, and that Lancaster was a little touchy track. That's the only pull that pro puller did not win first in the Wisconsin or Region 3. And because them tires work on them for them guys. And you got to give them credit, because they can scale them, but you got to have a lot of front end weight for them too. So
if you could, what would you suggest to promoters as far as their track goes, what would you want to see? What would you have them do?
It's hard, because I'm not going to go out and tell someone what to do to a track. I'm not one to say, oh, you should be putting this much water in. Natural rain is the best. You guys know that as well as I do.
Yep.
Good natural moisture is the best thing for a track. And if you don't have that moisture, you got to get it in there, I think, early enough and get it tilled in and rolled back in and at the right time. And it's a matter of how much water they're putting on it during the pull too, to keep the dust and keep it kind of at an even field. It is tough. I tell you, I promoted a couple pulls at our fair. We always had a good track at our fair, so I never really had to worry about moisture and everything. But I know there's challenges out there for some tracks. And like Shane and I have talked, the southern tracks, some of them are questionable, but goes back to we're all pulling on the same track, so hit your setups right and hope for the best,
Do you look for organics and stuff in the material, something for water retention? And
yeah, now a lot of people are, they're seeding them down in the fall after they get done with them. They'll put like a little cover crop on. I don't know what they're using, if it's a rye or a bar, who knows. And a lot of people are mixing in manure, I think, now too, with it when they're putting in a track. I know some guys when they're putting some new clay in, they're mixing manure in with it too. We
put a little bit of that, and we'll put a little sawdust in it too, I think.
Oh yeah, sure. Sand, Toma track has always been good, and it went bad for a few years there, but it come from a lot of rain. We put sand down in the hot pit area, and a lot of tractors drug sand up into some of them tracks, but Toma's gotten that fixed up. They've added clay back to it and stuff, and Toma's gotten back to where it is and works pretty good. And when you're trying to do two tracks, that like them in Bowling Green and some of the places, when you got to do two, it's twice the work, to manage two tracks, So.
Toma's going to be new for me this year with my new role with NTPA.
That's going to be a deal. Congratulations.
What am I in for? I want to know.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Especially, are they going to have the normal guys too? Doc Riley, is he still going to?
As far as I know, nothing changes. So just to clear the air on that, my understanding is I come with NTPA. No charge to the promoter. You get me for free. I'm the consistent voice across the entire season and just tell that story as it goes. So my understanding again is that the voices you're used to aren't going to change. It's just going to be them plus me. And I relish that because these guys have been so I know everybody who's an announcer who does this. I look up to them. You have no idea how much I idolize these guys.
Yeah.
And to be able to be with them is going to be phenomenal. So that part ought not to change. I don't want it to change.
Yeah.
I was going to say Toma is just one of those where the entertainment value is, I think, is at its peak. I mean, for an event that you go to all year, I think Terry, you can say the same thing. It's one of those tracks and shows you always look forward to. The track is usually very consistent. I know this past year, even with the having the covers on the track was very consistent for our experience. I don't know about yours, Ezen, or any of the guys you worked with.
Yeah.
And just the people around you, it's such a great atmosphere.
I've been around to Toma. I started going to Toma in 1975, I think is the first time I went. He used to pull right down in front of the grandstand. And that's the first time I ever seen Ezen pull. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool, and Brett Berg and Bill Berg and all them, John Klug and all them. And, oh, man, that was great, and I don't remember the first time I even went down in the pits to meet them, but actually I started hanging around with them and at Bowling Green, going to Bowling Green with Walsh's. It'd be crazy because I'd help Walsh's with the modified and the two-wheel drives, and I'd sneak over and hang out with them super stock guys. That's how I got to in where I'm at, I guess I get a lot of guys. There's so many people I know that have, I don't know, kind of mentored me, and I've tried to pick up my own stuff too. But, Ez and I built a lot of tractors together. Any frame rail that comes out this comes out of my shop because I run a press brake and everything. I don't do that no more, but I have the capabilities of finding a place to get them broke up, bent up and stuff. And we built a lot of chassis and stuff, and it always works out pretty good. We've had good luck with what we've done, and we've had guys leave our camp too, and go to a different one, but they've, wanted their own kind of thing. And like Lock and Loads, they went to an Engler chassis and they were very, very successful because Tim Engler, his reputation, builds a very good product. But one time we were told at Louisville, Essen was a chassis away from getting another championship. So he took the Redline Fever home and cut it up, put a new chassis on it, and he got his championship that summer with a wedge chassis. So yeah, we were pretty tickled about that. And we built the first lock and load component for them guys, and they were pretty successful with it. But then they went to an Engler chassis, which is understandable. That tractor now is actually in Wisconsin. Rackner's own it. It's called Long Haul Harvester.
Yes.
And they spent a lot of time with us in the pits. Rackner boys did, and they've done their math, and they're very successful with it. And it still keeps as in helping them work on the turbos and stuff like that. But they've done a very good job of the tractor, and they've come a long ways because they hung around with guys that knew what they're doing. And they did their math and did their homework. And so, and in Wisconsin State can be pretty tough because Lynn boys will run the alcohols in there too. We need some more diesels. So, and I'm not sure what Bill and Joe are going to do this summer because there's some things going there with them, but I don't know if they're going to run the Grand National or not, but I'm sure they'll get out as much as they can with what they, because they're excited because we had a pretty good summer with that tractor being new and everything. First time out, we had a little trouble with the spindle breaking, but we got that fixed, and Joe did some changing on the turbo setup, and it all worked out, and we were real happy. And Joe and I worked together real good on that tractor, and it turned out, we think, pretty good. Once he gets it painted, it'll be. And I get some different fenders on it because get a little criticism from a couple people in the back fenders, but we just run out of time, so we put the old Magnum box carb fenders on it for the summer. But I'm going to bend up a set of regular 86 fenders. There's 88-cent fenders to put on it this winter to get it back to work because I'm building another tractor that's an 88 series too, so I'll build two sets at the same time because I'm building a light pro or a limited pro 4.1 with 88 sheet metal on it for a guy this winter. So
it's always good to have more 88s.
The chassis design, when it came to particularly Redline Fever and some of the others, the front end being all sprung so that it cushions itself. What was the idea behind that? And I think it's brilliant. Talk about how that all came.
Well, Jeff Hurt was the first one, I believe, that had the air ride bag suspension on, and a lot of us were kind of wondering, was that a good thing or not? Now we're hesitant whether to do it, and it took a while for us to go to that because we had a pivotable front end, it pivots in the center, kind of oscillates, it does its own. But that air ride really relieves you on a bad ride. You ain't going to slam it down. You can save a spindle possibly or something on a rough ride. You might not jack the rear end up when your front end slams down. There's a little cushion, so you might not lose your hook as bad. So it took us a little while, and I was really surprised when we got Essen to do, and he put his on King the first time, and he's got quite a suspension on his. He engineered his own, and it's pretty elaborate. It's almost like a snowmobile, like a swing arm, and it's if you ever get a chance to get around it, and it's probably the most engineered front suspension on it. And I do kind of a triangulated 4-link on mine, like an off-road racing truck, and I get away with a track without having a track bar on to keep the axle from going. I use a triangulated, so that's all included, so it can't shift. It's pretty simple, and then just put the airbag in, and then you got to have a shock because I just use airbags. I don't use the air over shock. So we have to run an auxiliary shock with it. It's a lot like kind of like Josh Miley has on. He puts the bag right on the axle and to the outside of the frame. But there's a lot of guys that got good systems out there. And I guess anymore, I think I would suggest we don't have one on the Humming Harvester. We probably would have, but we had an axle and we put it on. But we try and keep that front end down as good as we can without slamming it down. It's a strong axle, so yeah. But yeah, air ride will really forgive you on a bad ride, I think, and so.
Yeah, I love mine that I have on my tractor. I mean, there is a saying from some that's like, well, just be better at setting up your tractor. It's like, look, even if you do miss it, you've still got it just as a cushion.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of guys that get the front ends up pretty high and they come down, you know, especially when they turn their wheels when their front ends up. I go, you know, you've seen it. No, because how many have tipped over because their front end is turned maybe a little bit, you know, so you got to be super careful.
Yeah, we might know a guy who did that.
Oh,
Yeah.
You did that? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It was a good one. If you're gonna do it right though.
Okay. Maybe we put a steering lock on. Yeah.
We did.
We just started going into power steering too, you know, with the boat steering and stuff. We put it on Degenhardt's, and Joe did the air ride on his front end on their tractor. He engineered it pretty good. It's a coil. It's a independent, you know, he did a nice job on it, a real nice job on it. They're real happy. It takes a lot of air for their system though. We need to get a bigger bag. Joe said we got to get a little heavier bag for the front end, but it worked out for him, but get that changed. And so.
You mentioned the steering though. Is theirs on their own independent switch or is it run all the time?
No, it runs all the time. It's just turning the wheel, the helm pump creates. They do, like, I think a lot of the pro stocks use an electric over. So when you just turn your wheel, it creates the electric because of the weight, the front end weight, you know, for driving around the pits and whatnot. So I believe a lot of them are electric over hydraulic.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've done with
The thing
mine.
is to get the right pump too, because some of them pumps, it takes a lot of turns on your wheel to go lock to lock. You got to get the right ratio so there's a minimum of turns in your wheels. So some of them, you see some of them guys are, the wheels aren't even turning. So there is a certain ratio you got to look to get in there. And it saves a lot of steering shafts and knuckles and stuff. And then when you go to split it or whatever, you just take a quick couple of hoses.
It's fun to see some of that come into play, especially on the 4-wheel drive trucks. Really, that's where I see it.
Yeah, they've had it a long time. You know, they use it. You know, most of them got a switch on the back, or they got remote control when they're loading. They don't even have to be in the truck. I've seen that from Profab Larry. When he's loading, he's just standing in the back with a remote, or he's got a switch, and he just steers it with that, and it's really cool. You know,
when I drove Tony Burkhardt's truck, 3.6 truck this fall. Cheap hooker is set up that way. It's electric over hydraulic, and there's a trigger button on top of the throttle handle.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't push it, the Incredible Hulk can't turn that truck.
Yeah.
But you hit that button, and your fingertip, you can just spin the wheel where you got to go, and then let go, and it doesn't drain the battery because it's not running the whole time.
Yeah.
You just use it when you need it, and that's a refinement that after 10 years he learned how to do, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And it's a pretty easy system, you know, because you can get a lot of money in U joints, especially to get the good ones, you know, because a lot of them you bought back in the day, they were no more than a 1/2-inch socket, you know, swivel joint. Now they've got the big, nice ones that are just like a U joint off a drive shaft on a 3/4-inch shaft. They've held up for people real good. That's all I don't know if we could ever convince Ezen to put in power steering on, but he's the old school guy. That's fine. Because
are you saying he's stuck in his ways?
No, not really. You can maybe convince him of some stuff, but I was really surprised, like I said, back for him to put air ride on, but it works out for him. And the way it's set up, we hope maybe doing its job, what we think it's doing. We can't, tell all of our secrets, what we think in our minds, what that might be doing. But, everybody's got their way they do it. And so, we always can't give our recipes out. We don't give our recipes out. We can sell a recipe card with a little bit on there, but hopefully you might come to us and we can sell you our recipe.
There you go.
Don't try to duplicate it.
There you go.
Yeah. But we had Ez and I, we spent a lot of time going down the road. We talk a lot about a lot of stuff. Like we go to Louisville, and that first night of qualifying might get fifth to qualify, and we go back to the hotel. Well, we made the qualifying, so now we got to get tuned up for Saturday night. And then when we get loaded up, head home, we couldn't even sleep because we talked about so much, maybe what we could have done different, or I always had a good time driving home. You couldn't sleep because you're so wired up. It comes down to it's pretty much like Don Masterson and Ezen got about the most Saturday night championship. Don's probably ahead of him maybe by a few, because Don is a Saturday night guru. Don. Yep. That's Don built. How they put it? Don's home at Don Masterson.
The house that Don built.
Kevin and his team have carried that legacy on because they've got a great team. Kevin and his guys, they've got her figured out. They got some nice rigs, and they do a lot of work, because I've helped them a few pulls. One time I go to Hillsboro and Rob didn't come, so I got to wear a Masterson shirt that weekend, and so we had to take pictures and send them to Rob, and so I felt pretty proud to be able to help Kevin and his guys out a little bit, maybe just steering the tractor around her. But Kevin, he's a very humble guy, and so they're fun to work with.
Yeah, absolutely is that.
And they've got things
breaking news. Are you guys in Duel the Fuels? Are you in?
No. Ezen didn't even apply.
Okay.
It's just, and he's working on his 460. We're waiting for parts for that to get that back, and he wants to run in a light super class with that. And it just come down to it's a lot of work, and he said maybe if they let the diesels back in the light super, he might come back, make the alcohol guys drag smoke tube, because he was the last one to run a diesel super in Louisville with Tim Giesler's tractor.
Do this. This needs to happen.
Yeah.
Do it.
I think it could happen, if it makes a good showing. It ran on a light super a few years ago, but then we put a 3-bar cage in, dedicated back to the heavy class, but now he's back to getting it back to see what he could do in the super again with it. And when we had Tim Giesler's tractor, that was set up, it was light, and that had a 3-bar cage on, and that ran pretty consistent. And that is what is called the weapon now. With Mark Ulmer has that tractor.
Yeah. I still remember whenever Redline Fever Light was down here in our shop for a weekend. Never my brother Brandon drove it down in Hazel Green, Alabama.
Yeah. I remember Brandon's tractor when he first built his Magnum Superstock. That was up at Ezen's before Louisville, and he got a championship right out of the box with that.
He did. That was a big rush job.
Yeah. And we were pretty happy because we were kind of helping with the setup a little bit that weekend. So Ez and I kind of put that one on our back burner, how many championships we've won down there. Because actually Barfneck drove, he was buying the old Magnum, the 240 that Ezen had, and we took that. And Brian Barfneck drove it, and he actually doubled with it. He won the qualifying and the finals night. So
did he ever? So he did own that tractor, right? It's the same one that he runs now, that just one more.
No, that one that's Bruce.
Bruce, okay.
Bruce has the 88, just one more. Yeah, Brian. Okay. Brian is Bruce's brother, and so. Wow. And then Ezen kept it, and then Adrian went and they ran it quite a few years, and then it got sold off to Doug Horrell, I believe, bought it, and then we built the 460 after that. Yeah,
I think Wyatt, it's still running, isn't it, on the Outlaw side?
The MX240, it's Tiger Bradley.
Tiger Brad, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yep. So Terry, I gotta ask, what was the peak of interest for you to get in helping the diesel super stock guys, knowing that you came from Walsh's which is a mod and two-wheel drive? I mean, that's kind of like polar opposite.
Well, yes, but I'm a farmer boy, and being a regular tractor. Granted, I had a great career working with Dave and Dan with the mod and the two-wheel drives. I learned a lot from them, and actually did a lot of. And Bill Leister, I built his first two-wheel drive for him. The old, he actually won Louisville when the first year he built that for him. What did he call that? It was
Was it the Dirt Slinger
two-wheel drive, yeah. Because I remember the day he won that.
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook the other day.
Yeah. Because I remember that Bill qualified with it, and when they took it down there, I had these bars on the rear end that went to the frame rail and kind of tied that all in. And Bill was at home, and he was married to Stephanie at the time, and Bill was cutting them bars off. And I remember Bill telling me, Stephanie said to him, one of his wife's in, Bill, and she says, "You think you should be cutting them off? You better call Terry and ask him." But Bill cut them off. And then when he made his run in the qualifying night, that truck had twisted so much that motor was almost at 90-degree angle. It twisted so much when it set down, it hardly even set the both front wheels down on the ground. But he qualified, and then they took it to what's his name shop, the old. I'm very bad with names, but they went that night and got her straightened out, and then it had twisted up the body on it pretty good. So they were all tired out, and then they got back to Broadbent there, and I fixed up his body and stuff. And then he won the finals with it that night on Saturday with it. And Jim Lyons, went to Jim Lyons' shop and got to work on, got her straightened back out and everything. And that motor was, the pipes had been blowing right into the crowd. It was twisted so much, and it was quite a deal. Yeah, but back to getting with them diesel guys, it just was fun to hang around with them and get that, that was my deal. I liked the diesel tractors, and, granted, I did a lot with Walsh's, and, I built a lot, like when we put that to a turbine, did all the exhaust pipes for that. And at one time they used to run a lot of SRO, and US Hot Rod Association. And one time they had qualified, the finals were always down in Houston, Texas, and Walsh's, they farmed 5,000 acres. And Dave goes, Dan one dial it up a little bit, put new fenders and side covers on it. And so I started working on it, and they're harvesting, and it was getting about ready to go to paint. And Dan comes to me one night and says, "How long would it take to put it back to the way it was?" And I says, longer than it will take you to paint it. So we got a bunch of guys over there to get it painted and get it lettered. And I think we left that day, that week to go to, I think that paint was wet too, with the Irish Challenger down to the Houston Astrodome for the finals for their deal. And then we put the turbines on it, and we had Mike Vrag, who used to be with Gardner Stone, helping us, and that helped that out a lot. But I built them exhaust pipes. I built exhaust pipes for turbines for LD Nation and Doug Roberts, and who else? Well, when Bill Eichner bought Walsh's tractor after the accident, and so we had to put new pipes on it then and everything. So that was kind of them were pretty unique. I was kind of proud of that, making them turbine exhaust pipes for them guys, and to have them guys like Doug Roberts Larry Roberts, not Doug, to have them guys come and ask me to do that stuff for them is kind of one of my proud moments, have them guys.
Well, so you had a hand in their modifieds too, then?
Yeah, exhaust pipes. Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, because I was
uncomfortable conversation, perhaps, but what was I don't want to get into why it happened. That's been dissected a million times. What was that like from the inside with the accident? It was a thing.
Yeah, I wasn't at the full. I wasn't able to go to Fort Recovery where it happened, and their dad called me the day after it happened, and it was quite a deal, at home. And to see that tractor get destroyed like that, and granted, it's tragic, and we're in a sport that is dangerous. All motorsports are dangerous, and things happen, and it did happen. Just happened, and we're lucky it happened to Dave, really, or it could have happened to Rodlin because they were the only two with roll cages at the time. And I put that roll cage on Dave's tractor because we were building that, and their one brother Jim, and we were building it, and your brother Jim comes up to us. He says, "You guys better put a roll cage on that. You tip that thing over, you're gonna break your freaking neck." And so Dave and I decided we were going to put one on. Dan and Mike weren't really agreeative with it. And it was very, very far from what the specs we are now. It was, I don't even know I think we had 1.5 inch tubing maybe, or inch and maybe 3/4 at the most. And it just had 2 hoops going up over, didn't have down bars, didn't have nothing coming up the back, but it saved him. And Gardner Stone was the next one to hook on. If it would have happened to Gardner, who knows what could have happened. So in the long run, it was maybe God blessing that happened to Dave. It's too bad it did. But and Rodlin, of course, had a roll cage at the time too, so she would have been safe. But it was tragic, but we move on. And then that brought on the roll cages, and that would happen to Rose and Toma too. That was the same year, so
yeah.
Remember when
Rodlin was the witness to that on the TNN show when it happened to Randy, and that's inspired choice by you guys to do it and lead the way. Really, I mean, sucks that we have to be there, but we do.
To this day, Dave's wife thanks me for putting that up.
Yep.
When they first come out, and then they come out with SFI, they give SFI the stuff to come out with the specs on. And man, we got them specs, and we seen that, man, this is way overkill. So they were having a meeting up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Dave Schreier and a bunch of them, and Rich Wine and Carl from Atlas Tractor, Carl Waplow, built a roll cage and put it on a 706 chassis and rolled it down a cliff to see it wasn't really to what their specs were, and it survived. He sent it down a pretty good cliff, and it rolled and rolled, and so we were kind of fighting it a little bit because of the weight. We thought, we need that weight, but it worked out, and it's a way of, they let us do things a little bit past what their specs were, as long as you were, had a good piece made, and now, they've changed them some, they don't lax on it, but you've got to still make it safe. And that's the way I am. When I build something, if you want me to build something, don't ever ask me to cut on safety, because I will not do it, because I don't want you to get hurt. And I don't want the people to get hurt, number one, because what can happen in an accident? You can lose a pull or a lot of pulls, because insurance and liability. Yeah. So don't ever ask us to cut on safety, because it's number one, your driver and crowd and tech official, flagmen too, because they're right there, they're taking so.
Yep. Been there when a light pro exploded. Zach Howell and I were right there. Don't want to do that again.
Before we had inner side shields on frame, inside the outer side shields, that happened. That kind of come from Bill Miller when his pro stock exploded at Toma, and it set a rod out over the grandstand, and that nobody complained about having to do that, because it's, it holds a lot of stuff in, because that's got to be 1/4 inch aluminum or 3/16 steel. So. Yeah,
I applaud your conscientiousness about doing it right. That's super important.
Well, SFI is a great company. You can complain about them or whatever. They set the standards on pretty much all motorsports safety and what they got to do, don't they? Charles, you can contest that probably, because you're
100%. The cowboy days are over, man. Yeah. I see it. Not just on the pulling side, I see it on the drag racing side as well.
Right.
Anecdotally, I've seen some really weird stuff take place on the drag racing side, and
yeah.
and some guys who had their chassis tag revoked, and then it came back once understanding was conveyed about what it was doing, how it was doing it. It needs to be taken seriously. It's really, really important. But I've seen a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm glad that it's being regarded the way that it is.
Yeah. I'm the type of person, I will look at a lot of people's work and see what they've done, but I will not really critique somebody else's product, but I can see maybe what they should have done. And if you know them well enough, you can say, hey, maybe we should do something like this. And I've talked to a couple guys, and the people I know, and that should have maybe been, and they're good about it. If you think about it, well, that could save something. And it's only been a few times, but in the most part, people are building stuff, I think, now that's, we need safety. You take Tim Engler, for instance, down there at Engler Machine, there ain't nothing coming out of there that ain't going to, he ain't going to cut corners on safety. Hasselage or Full Pull or Ace
Modern Machine.
Everything is,
Chaos, any of them.
Everybody's
There's
doing
some awesome
right.
builders out there.
Yeah, they're doing it right.
Yeah. If you got questions, if you're going to build something, call someone. Maybe at a time where they might have a sign. If you got a question, no one is afraid to tell you something that if you got a question on, especially call them like, okay, you got a second? Can you talk to me a little bit? I just got a question. I'm building something. How should I maybe do it? Can I, just to be safe? I think a lot of builders would do that, especially if you call them sometime, might be late in the day or something, or leave them a message. And, you take Tim Engler, I'm sure would be glad to hopefully, steer you in the right direction. There should be no one telling you what you shouldn't be doing. That's my, we don't
want anybody getting hurt.
That's right.
No.
We're gonna look out for you.
Yeah.
If I don't know the answer, I definitely have somebody in this where I can give you the phone number. I can tell you who to talk to. And you'll be okay.
Because you see, there's a lot of force on. I have a guy that tells me there's no pulling and pulling. It's all push. Well, I tell him you're crazy, but he says he's kind of right because you're pushing on it. But we have a little discussion about. He's an old tech guy. He says there's no pulling. It's all pushing.
I love that. Because it's true. Push. You're pushing on the drawbar. You think about it.
Before I come to my nephews to set up here, I was at him. Well, Tuesday night they have a little. What we call a board of directors meeting at a little tavern that I go to. I didn't have nothing to drink tonight. I don't drink very much anyways, but he was there. We talked about that push. And I said, I'm going on Motorsports Almanac tonight. I might have to mention your push and pull argument we have. And he is right, but I won't admit it to him. But
we can own that. It's 100% true. That's it's reality.
Your reality
that,
it is.
For
it
that
is.
little bit, you're pushing on it.
You're pushing on it now.
Yep.
It's crazy. I tell him you're crazy. When he first brought that up to me, there's no pulling and pulling. But I went home that night and I got thinking about he is kind of right, but I'm not going to admit it to him because everybody else in the pulling world think we're crazy. They were pushing.
We are
not pulling.
Yeah.
It's been, and he knows. He's been around. He was a tech official for a while and stuff.
Oh shoot, that makes it worse.
That's even better.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've had a lot of good experiences in pulling, and I don't regret nothing really. It's been really good. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Benson, we certainly appreciate you coming on dang near an hour. This has been fantastic.
I guess we went over what we were supposed to.
No, this was way more entertaining than probably what we've got planned for the rest of it.
I think all your shows are great. Like me, I've got around a lot of people and pulling. Like I'm working on a tractor now, and I've had to go to different engine builders and stuff. Like went to a different back motor plate on one and getting that from a manufacturer and putting a different type of starter on. So I'm going through Joe Bush and Denny Healy, and I could call them guys up. Like today, the high torque starter that's going on there, I needed to know as it came. I go, this ain't the way I need to do it. So I called up Joe, and he says, you better talk to Denny on that. So I called Denny and took a picture of how I got it. He says, Terry, you got it right on. So, and I told him there's a little flange can I machine that off? He said, yeah. So it's good that manufacturers can work together. And because I could have jumped ahead of this until I got that starter, but I said, no way, I'm not going to, because I had to widen his frame out a little bit, because that starter, it's a high torque. It's a little bit bigger than the Power Stroke. So I'm glad I didn't take a jump into it and have to cut it apart. So it worked out good. And them guys are super to work with, so you're better off doing it once, doing it right the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I hope I get to hang out with you this summer.
I do too.
Still look forward to that.
Like I said, Shane, you live down there in Kentucky. You need to bring that super farm to Toma.
I've told him this many times.
Come on, Shane, let's go.
Bring it to Toma, and I'll help you. I'll pit bitch for you, and we'll get you down the track. I'll bust that song.
And then
Charles will be there at Nelson, so we can. And then I'll bring some cattle. I'll bring some cattle fitters in. Well, I could do it myself too, but I got some cattle fitters that come in there and get Charles' hair looking real good for the cameras up there too. Charles knows all the shows that he's been on. I commented on his hair because he always had a nice flat top, but I got cattle cutters, people that clip cattle for shows. They'll lay a flat top on you. You can land an airplane on.
I'll let you do
Russell, they used to show cattle big time after we got our super farm. He retired, went showing cattle and raised his family. They not a hair out of place. And they said, always, Charles, you probably know that too.
Yep.
It's all in fun,
If it's a charity, I'll let you do it.
Yeah.
As long as it goes to the right cause, I'm all about it.
Well, we won't shave it off, though. We'll leave it on, because on cattle, we like a lot of hair. But we can make it stand up because we got glue, and then we'll have to give you the product to take it out.
I'll tell you what, I'll let it grow. I won't cut it. I'll come in there, and if we could do something for charity, I'm all about it.
We could, let's try to do something. Yeah, because me and Ezen are all about cancer, because both of us are cancer survivors.
Yes.
I'm 10 years right now, remission. At 10 years ago was when I started mine, so it's been going real good. Not many people know I had a rough time. I've only missed Toma one time since 1975, because I was in the hospital with cancer, but I was just got out of a coma, and I was crazy a little bit. That's what my brother told me, because I was in ICU. There wasn't a window in my room, and I told my brother, I said, well, I won't make Toma, but I can look out the window. I can see the smoke blowing up over the trees. He says, you're crazy. There's no windows in here. You ain't gonna, and we're not even close to Toma. How you can see the smoke blowing up over the trees? He says, you're nuts. So, and then I called them. I was able to call the guys that were on Friday or Saturday night, and I got to talk to all my buddies all the way from Esden and Steve Burge, Butch Slabach, and Profab, and all them guys. We talked and wished them all luck, and it was fun. So, yeah.
I'm down for it. If we can put something together for Toma,
we might be able to do something. We got to,
do something good for cancer.
Yeah,
fundraiser.
Anything, I'm up for anything. There's a lot of charities and a lot of good organizations out there, but even if we don't get it done, Charles, maybe we could put something together for a couple different polls together. But sure. I'm so excited when I seen that. I've seen some of your announcing. I said that it's going to be a good addition.
I'm about it, Terry. Just get a hold of me, and we'll put something together. I want to do that.
Sure. Maybe we could get Ryan to come, and we could do something with his beard too. We don't have to shave it off. Maybe if Ryan's watching, we won't have to shave it off, Ryan. But our cattle guys come down there and give you a nice.
Yeah, give him the nice the plowshare look.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, make it look like a chisel plow tooth.
He'd do it.
I think he would. Yeah. it's growing back really fast for him. Really, it's been.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can make happen when you don't give a shit.
Well, I figured you guys must stay in a cool area because Essen is really hairy. And you go Essen in a pool, the air conditioner is so cold you can't. Sorry, I said, Essen, that's why you're so hairy, because we keep cattle in air conditioning to grow hair, and we wet them down with cold water. And I said, that's what these guys must be doing. They must be in cold air and washing their hair with cold water. So it grows.
I keep cutting mine off because I don't like how white it is. It makes me feel old.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
I'll let it come back if we can do something cool with it.
No,
It's a sign that you are.
Yeah,
I get a gray beard and a gray mustache. I have no gray up here, but funny
Well, this has been a great hour. So, Mr. Terry, thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me on and looking forward. I always want to put a shout out to Bill Degenhart. It's a good friend of mine. Work over his shop with him, and he lets me come over there and use his equipment. And choked up.
That's all you need to say, bud.
That's
Terry. He's a veteran, and thank him. And all my friends in Poland.
That right there is what this is all about.
I got a lot of friends in Poland. I got a lot of people to thank. And
when you get tools, you know, this is why we do this. This is why this sport exists.
Yeah, there is.
It's about being close to people, and it's okay to be in the fields. Like, I'd be remiss if I didn't.
Yeah. That's why I tell Shane, get that. If you ain't got nothing else to do, and bring some of the other guys up there you pull with. Man, they could use them, And even if you don't come to Toma, come on up and run some Wisconsin State or Region 3, because they could use a tractor once in a while.
We're all good. They're all good friends.
Yeah. That's right. I got Black Stallion. That's one of my chassis on that, and he's one of the ones that we need to get a championship. He's one of the few tractors that don't have a championship that I built. And so I'd like to see him. He was close this year, but he's competitive, but he's a very busy man farming and everything, but they're building another one too. So but
come on, Shane, let's go. I'm going up there. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's see where wheat is first, because you don't leave during wheat harvest around here.
Load up. Bring Living the Dream and both of them up there. Yeah.
We've talked about
would Dad let both of you get away? Well, then make Darren do all the farm work. He can.
Let's go.
I think the guy.
I know Darren a little bit. I pulled maybe a little bit against him, but he was a great super farm puller. He's one of the tough. Back in the day, I'm glad I wasn't running when he was, because man. He's one of the few that got 2 Louisville championships,
Yeah, 2. I think he was the first one to do it twice in a row.
Red Storm actually has 2, because when Rodney Davison won the championship, that was my old chassis. Because I sold that tractor, we tore that apart that Saturday night after I won Louisville. We tore that tractor apart. I had built the chassis and stuff for Tom Morrissey. He got the sheet metal, roll cage, and different stuff. And then he built it to the Rover, I think he calls her.
When did that happen with Tom Morsey? What year was that?
That was in 2002 when I won the finals, the first year of Super Farm in Louisville. I had come off winning the ATPA championship into that summer, and then I won Louisville, and then when I got home with that, what I had left over, I was putting new sheet metal and roll cage. I was going to go to MX 170. And Rob calls me up and said, Rodney, I'd like to buy a chassis and you build a new one. I said, yeah, have them come up. We'll do it. And they put that on there, and they won a finals night with my old chassis on that tractor.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, back when I pulled the ATPA, I pulled a lot against them guys, old Harry Bledsoe and Steve Cole, and it was some tough sledding. That year I won that championship. I never won a pull, but my lowest finish was I got a 5th one time, but my average finish that summer was 3rd place in all the pulls we made. And that was with 3 different guys driving it. So the only thing
I got to have a Harry Bledsoe story. Give me a Harry Bledsoe story.
Yeah. Okay. I got a couple of them. Harry, I think Harry one time tried passing his roll cage off, and it was a little bit thin tube. That's one story. And after I won Louisville that year, and I got along with Harry and Steve, they're really competitive. They like to win. And when I won Louisville, we're on our way home, and I don't know how Harry got my number, but he called me. He says, "Yeah, congratulations on your victory tonight and everything." But he says, if Steve or I would have been there, we would have kicked your ass. Well, maybe they probably would have, because they were very good. But I was 6 points behind Steve Colin at the last pull, and he had me beat, and we were at Terre Haute, I think. And Steve, them guys always like to take their first pull. If they didn't do real well, they always dropped that first pull. Steve drew number one. He went just short of full pull, so he dropped his hook. So then Mark Colbert went full pull. I got full pull. And what's his name? That went full pull too. That's three of us made full pull. So then when Steve come back to the line, his pump shaft where the throttle hooks on it broke off. So he couldn't make a run. They were going to try and weld it on that welder truck out there. That's how competitive they were. So if he would have kept his first pull, I would have never won that championship, because he had me covered. I had to beat him by, I think he had 6 point lead, so I had to beat him by 7 tractors, and he got last place. But they were very competitive. And they were good back then. No, they were. So that's one of the Harry's,
Schrader valve on the roll cage. I mean,
yeah. You always, Harry was a good, very competitive, and he had his handicap in his right arm. He could push that throttle ahead, but he always claimed that left hand was so strong I could kick anybody's butt. And then maybe he could, but we always had a little joke about that. He says, "If you ever need me, Terry, I can whip him with my left hand." But yeah, Harry overcome that handicap on his right arm to drive a tractor, and that's give him a lot of credit. But
yeah, he definitely was a mold breaker. There was only one. There's only one Harry.
Yeah. One time I think I did seen him on Facebook. I messaged him. He doesn't pull no more. I think Steve does a little bit yet. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah.
I know his old tractor still runs Empire State up there. Devil Dog, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take like some of them guys that were super farm back then are in the pro stock and stuff now, like Real Deer, Justin Wagler. He was pulling super farm back in them days. And so it was really that ATPA that summer we ran that. It was really competitive. It was tough to win. Yeah. But that was a super summer. We had a motor that it was a small motor. It just ran good. But then we went to new tractor. Rob built a different motor, and it didn't have, I told Rob, I wish we had the old, I think that was a 600, man. It was when we went to 640. I said, that 600 could whip ass on this 640. We'll get it figured out, he said. So we did. But we pulled a couple more years with it. And that's when he started raising his family and showing cattle. And I respected that. And we actually give the tractor, Doug Sabaka had it for a while. And they put motors in it once in a while and go testing. They were computer checking, and they were dyno, and they take it around pulling. Then we ended up selling the chassis to Jay Schaefer in Missouri. And now the tractor's Bad Habit with Michael Fanning. Yeah.
Yep.
And Michael was pulling back against us back in the day too.
Yeah, he had the 5 millionth Bad Habit.
Yeah, it was a white. Yeah, and then he bought one tractor from up here, I believe, and pulled it.
It was an 88
MX
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an 88, and he ran it in pro stock for a while. It's in Missouri now. I've seen a picture or two of it.
Yeah, but he had a MX 150 from a guy he bought from up here, I believe, at one time too.
It sold up there.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Chevink has it now.
Yeah, Chevink has the most recent.
He bought it off a guy named Kelly Keith down here.
Okay.
And ran it for a while.
Yeah.
So.
But that's still got the old chassis that I built on it, and that I said that's probably one of the older chassis out there running that.
Yep.
is and still runs
That
fantastic.
I don't think Jay ever put air right on. I don't think Michael has. He has still got the old last
No.
leg. And then,
Yeah, it's still
Oscillate.
yeah, that
still
does.
does that.
That was a hard hooking track that thing would hook
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And whenever they hook it now, it's kind
Yeah,
of one of those deals you can tell within the first 50 feet if it's going to be good or if it's going to be
yeah.
a little less than good.
Mhm.
But all right,
Well-
boys, we got to
Okay.
get started on our other stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, we got so long
Oh.
here, but
You were fine.
You do not apologize, dude. I'll keep you
Oh,
going.
boy.
Like
yeah,
sorry, White and Shane. The hell with you. I'll keep talking to this guy.
This is
Yeah,
probably
yes.
this is probably your next sidetracked kind of area. You get to start telling stories.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Benson, thank you for all the kind words.
Thank
and
you guys
your
for all
time.
you
This
do
has
too.
been
'Cause
Fantastic.
I know a lot of guys that aren't pullers that watch your show. I said sometimes chime in, make a comment. They're always
Yeah.
looking, even if you're not pullers. Because I know a lot of guys that kind of watch this stuff, and you guys are really helping the sport. And all the guys that have these, the other guys with their podcasts. Like I said, if I was sitting here, I could tell you, but yeah, it's a great thing. I think a lot of people watch them.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate that. And
We'll have to bring you on again with some other guys you build stuff. for.
yeah,
That's what we should do sometime. We get a little time. Get old Tony Seatsuma. He was fun to pull with back in the day.
Oh, dude, that's got to happen. Terry and Tony, we got to do this.
Yeah,
the other one
I could get you some other guys that
we're going to do a super farm night
that-
though.
Yeah, we could. Because Tony got second to me that night in Louisville.
Yeah.
I hate dragging you guys on, but that day on Saturday, that's when I did my work on my tractor.
Yeah,
Rob says, get underneath that, adjust that clutch and everything. And Tony was pitted right next to me. And in the comments when we got interviewed in Victory Lane, I was so happy, cordial. Tony and I were good friends, still are to this date. And when he made a comment and he says, well, today Terry was working and we weren't. And so, but Tony's a very good competitor and I love pulling with him. And he's a great guy, a lot of fun. Tony, I hope you're watching or something, but I love you, man.
Well, I think we know our next show in the future at some point.
Yeah, we'll have a super farm roundtable one night. We'll get you and Tony. I'd like to get Salamine on it. I don't know if his schedule will allow it.
Ryan, yeah.
Ryan's quiet. He'd be tough, but
he's
he's very busy, but he might, if he gets some of the old guys on.
If he's too busy, I've got an idea for another one.
Yeah. I'll try and get you my picks for that Louisville because I'd like to do the old because there's so many tractors that back in my day I couldn't compete in the super farm now, unless I had it updated. But I could put you together what could back when I pulled and then same with pro every class what the class involved into, back in the day, what was the pro stock making for horsepower, what they are now.
Yeah.
We're gonna want to do the all-time one-time farm show list.
Yeah.
That was a conversation this past weekend. It's something we've talked about. It's something we want to do. I think that'd be really cool. Something else that we're going to do is the all-time one-time Daytona 500.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Wyatt, you're
welcome to join in on that.
I don't watch NASCAR much anymore, but I used to be.
I don't either. It sucks, which is why we're going to do it.
Yeah, I went to Daytona in 1982, I believe. I think Cale Yarborough won it. I think they qualified at 212 that year.
Something like that.
On crazy.
84 would have been
roll one and turn one. We were black as when we left there, covered with rubber. It was so fun. Yeah. But I don't watch it like
Well, what a different day that was.
What a difference time has done. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Well, Terry, we're gonna have to.
We'll bring you back on if we do that one. Whenever we do the farm show one for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
But thank you, Terry. This is
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you guys do. You're great for the sport. I'm looking for you, Charles, seeing you announce and
thank you, Terry. I'm going to seek you out. I will come find you.
Well, I'll find you too. It won't be hard to find because we pit at the north entrance or the south entrance right over there is where the Egenharts and Essen, we pit right over there, and we're easy to find. So come on over.
Noted. I will come find you.
Yeah, we'll be looking for you, Charles. I'm really excited to see you get that. Congratulations on that. So
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely. All right. See
and
you
why
later,
am I
Mr.
seeing your
Benson.
dad this weekend? He was at the banquet. So
Yeah, my Uncle Dan, yeah.
that's your dad, your uncle?
No, uncle. Yeah, uncle.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't know. I thought that was your dad.
No,
Yeah.
my everyone mixes that up. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Dan is my uncle. Gary's my dad.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right
so-
then.
Anyway, thank you,
Sweet.
Terry. Much
Thanks. Have a good
appreciated.
show the rest of your show. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Terry.
Yep. Bye.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, it was, dude.
That was great.
What a guy.
Yeah, there's just so many stories there that we could be here for a long time.
You guys
Whenever we
don't-
do that super farm discussion, I'm taking myself out of here. I'll pop the comments up on the screen. I'm just gonna let them have a heyday with it one night.
The thing is, Terry, with all he said, you went the tip of the iceberg of what the man actually knows.
I
what he built.
know.
The man has a list of things he's built. I mean, a list.
I know.
Yeah, there's people in this sport who are behind the scenes and you don't know their names. And Terry's one of those guys who is a mover and a shaker. Like, it happens through him. And just to know him, I've known him for a
Crazy.
little while, but this is the first time that I've gotten to interact with him. And I mean what I said. Like, I'm gonna find that guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to be a wallflower. I want to hear the stories. I want it all. Like, he's the dude.
But I'd say
So
an
I'll tell you
after show Toma would be like the perfect time to catch him after like a
Yeah.
Friday night or something like that. Man just talks about stories that you would not believe.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Zach.
Yeah.
Charles,
I
long
bet
time
How are
no
you,
see.
buddy?
I bet he was getting bored sitting back there for a little bit. He's like, "Oh, get me on here."
I was enjoying that because, that goes back to the days of my dad and Esden and
Yeah.
Brett Berg and all them guys. So no, I was enjoying the history lesson there.
Quad squad
Yeah,
life.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, y'all, let's talk about PRI because we were all there. And so I'll go ahead and admit from my perspective, the first day, Friday was overwhelming for me. I'm not even going to lie about it. But Zach, y'all had an announcement on Thursday morning.
Yeah, we, which Charles, we kind of discussed with him this weekend at our banquet, but we're going to do a show with the four-wheel jamboree in Indy this year, an IPL show. We're going to do a 2630, the small bar tire four-wheel drives that we run with IPL and ITPA, and then we're going to do 8 or 10 invitational light pro stock. I guess I don't know if you call it a shootout or whatever, an invitational deal, which is the weekend after our finale in Rochester this year. So haven't decided how the logistics going to work of that, but it's all in the process. So
Yeah. That's a really neat announcement and really good for you guys there at IPL. That's going to be something really cool. I might be able to make that depending on what the dates are.
I hope we can all make it. Like, it's.
Yeah.
I remember dog-earing the shit out of four-wheel and off-road magazines back in the 90s or 80s, really, when pulling was a thing at the Jamboree. And so for this to come back, it's awesome. It's huge. It's a big deal for the sport. And if I can be a part of it, I really want to, because it's a touchstone moment to bring that back. That's so cool.
They moved it from the state fairgrounds to Danville, Indiana. There's a new fairgrounds in Danville, Indiana. The state fairgrounds, just pretty much familiar with the state of Indiana or anything that's been at state fairgrounds in the past. They are very, very unpromoter friendly, I guess I'll say, which from what I understand, most state fairgrounds are in today's world. And the guys that promote the Jamboree, that now own the Jamboree, had it there last year, decided this year they were going to go a different route. So it's going to be about 15, 20 minutes west of Indy in Danville, Indiana, is where it's going to be, right on 36. Brand new fairgrounds, beautiful place. Ought to be a phenomenal show.
Yeah, that's gonna be really exciting for you guys. But Zach, you only went to PRI one day, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of PRI?
I was at PRI probably, and I don't know what year they moved it from Orlando to Indy. Charles, you might know what year that was.
Gosh, it's been a while. I mean, the last time I was in Orlando, 15 years ago, maybe.
I probably went to PRI 8 years ago, 10 years ago was the last time I was there. They weren't Lucas Oil Stadium at the time. It was just one hall, and like half of the other ones last time I was there. Of course, it's obviously grew tremendously since then, but it amazes me the amount of stuff that is available for the motorsports world. From anything you want to do, anybody you want to talk to, it's at that show. We went down Thursday, was there. We got there about right when the gates open, and then of course make our ritual trip to Hooters for lunch, and then back for a couple hours after, and of course I'm only an hour from there, so I was at my house at 5:30 that evening. So
yeah, I'll tell you the thing that really jumped out to me. It was just, you would walk down an aisle. Letter A, there's all the cool stuff going on in all the booths, but if you're not looking like straight in front of you, you never know who's going to walk by you.
Right.
That was one of the things, because let's see, it was Jack Beckman. He had just got done doing an interview with Drag Illustrated on their stage, I think. And I just happened to catch him coming off the stage and had a chance to speak with him for a couple minutes before he had to run off. But that was just right after the announcement that he was going to be back with John Force Racing next year. And there may be future plans there. We'll have to see how they work out.
No, you're definitely right. You walk down the aisles there, and you look up and you're like, oh wait, that was, like, oh well, hey, there he is, So
yeah, Murder Nova.
I feel like I need to apologize to Shane and Wyatt. You guys were with me Saturday, and I need to apologize to my daughter Allie as well. I had a list of stuff I wanted to do, and I was on a mission, and just like I didn't stop unless I got stopped, but I kept marching relentlessly. And I do need to apologize to you guys. I felt like I was leaving you in the dust. It wasn't my intent. It just I gotta go. I gotta go.
Shoot,
somebody had plans for you later in that evening.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If we gotta blame anyone over here, it's this guy.
Yeah.
I was happy to do it. It was, actually, I felt I was most nervous about doing the IPL deal Saturday night because I don't know those guys super well, and that I don't like that. I want to know them. I want to be able to tell stories. I want to be able to get up on the dais and share something that's fun. And I hope that for 2025, I can accumulate some stories and work with those guys and work with you and do something fun where when we get to the banquet, then I can actually like roast some guys and have some fun, right?
We're not scary, I promise that. We got a heck of a group we run with, and everybody gets along for the most part. And
you do.
It's a great group. We had to back up and punt on facilities this year for the banquet, but it turned out to work great, and I think everybody enjoyed it. So
yeah,
I hope they did. And that, like I said, I want to be a part of more for 2025 and have some fun with you guys. I really respect the hell out of IPL and what you guys are doing.
While I'm thinking about it, any of my light pro guys that are listening or watching, we need 6 of you to sign up for Cloverdale as soon as possible.
7,
If
because
not more.
one's not going to be there.
Yeah, we already know
Okay,
you're not.
make it 7.
There's just no way. It's still sitting in Princeton, Indiana right now.
I know where it is. Then.
If you watch
fair
if
point.
you watch T-Mez TV's latest video he just put on, that pile of blue crap sitting in front of the new component chassis, yeah, that's ours.
Shane and I could give you the rundown of everybody we've talked to so
my
far.
jeez, dude, it's yeah.
And
There's
every answer we've gotten has been no. Damn it.
We
to be fair, the one answer I got yesterday was kind of like a oh crap. You take care of you first, sir. To be fair.
We wanted to, had every plans of being there, but it's just like, you know, one of them things there was a lot wrong after Rochester that, you know, took a lot of time to I'm not going to say Band-Aid, but put back together the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to do it and not do it the right way and do this again in 2 years. Hopefully not, you know?
Yeah, fair point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, Zach, you being and Charles both with the Midwest Motor Nationals, any last minute details that we need to go through and talk about or anything like that, besides the polar packets going out next week? And if you're trailering with somebody, you need to let Clint know.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to blow up in our face again. So we'll start there.
Yeah.
Please not.
What did you do? You're the one person I can't see in the video whenever it actually happens.
Me or Charles?
You.
There's one video and I'm in it.
Flag man.
You know, it was one of them things where it didn't, from my point, it wasn't as, I mean, it was violent, but it wasn't as violent as you thought it'd be standing 10 foot from the side shield.
No, it wasn't. That's true.
Really?
You feel the concussion a little bit of it when it did come apart. But probably the most eerie feeling of all was hearing the pieces hit the cement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not knowing what or who they hit. You know, and like I've told everybody that's ever asked me about this, because I took some raft of shit on the internet after the fact, because I pointed at Smokey and made sure he was okay. And some guy got on the internet and told me, well, you can't tell him to back up. He don't have an engine. It's like, dude, I ain't telling him to back up. 90% of the time when that happens, us as a driver and Shane, all of us, we're okay. You know, the safety equipment threw the engine forward, did exactly what it was supposed to do. But you just got there. He looked at me, shook his head. I knew he was fine. It was time to figure out what else happened.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the first thing that happens is checking on the driver.
You know, that was probably the most eerie deals, hearing the parts and stuff hit the cement and the wall and not knowing what had happened outside of that, I guess.
Yeah. I had my back turned to it when it let go, and when it did, I looked at you and Smith behind me, because I took parts. It hit me. I looked at you guys, and then after that, you know, at the time I was dating Christina's staff. All right, she's across the table from me. This is a big thing. I instantly recognized this as a big issue. I looked at her as if to say, I didn't say anything, but my facial expression was, "Are you okay?" And then I just kept hearing stuff rain, like metal hitting everything.
And it felt like forever.
It felt like forever that it kept coming.
You know, and then of course he was done. He was burning in when it happened, you know. So he wasn't going any farther. It was done and over with. But the other thing I'll say, I've had 2 of these come apart in my face now. That one, and
I forgot about
and then one at Tipton. This one, there was absolutely no
warning,
instinct it was going to happen.
No.
The one at Tipton, you could hear
the rattle.
if you listen to Jeff Shanks's video and you listen to it closely, you can hear the exhaust valve pop in the video. And
Really?
if you can hear it, and from on the track, you could hear it even worse. I knew something was going to go wrong. I just didn't know what was going to go wrong. And I was considerably farther back from that one than I was standing 10 foot from the side shield.
Yeah, and the thing about that deal at Ship was the next hook. I don't remember who it was. It was an IH tractor. Came right down the same tire path that Smith did, and got within 10 feet of the sand pile, and all of a sudden, I saw the blow-by tube explode. He torched a piston, and I'm like, oh, we're going to do this again. Scared the hell out of me.
When I got back to the house that night, took my hoodie off, I had metal flakes in my hoodie, and, under my hat and stuff, but nothing actually ever hit me per se, I guess I'll say. The way I
took a lifter in the back. I wish I would have saved it.
And it could happen to anybody anytime. It's part of the game we play. Like Terry was just saying, safety. This is a dangerous sport. It's the game we play.
Yeah, absolutely. But we had a lot of fun. Getting back on topic here. Yeah, Chris. I've talked to Chris Comaroni. He says it's a slim chance, but he didn't say no.
He's got everything from the clutch can forward to do.
It's Chris. He's rebuilt it during the season. He'll be fine.
You asked about what about Cloverdale. I'll reiterate what Charles said on Facebook. If you follow the plan, it's going to work flawlessly.
Thank you. Thank you
for
bringing that up.
With that being said, we know what we are like. We're tractor pullers like herding cats.
Yes.
Fair.
But if you follow the plan, these guys have done this long enough. It will work if you follow Clint and Joe's plan. I mean, it's going to work. It's worked before. You just got to follow the plan.
They haven't done this for 20 years.
Clint was in Cloverdale today taking measurements of the parking lot and everything to make sure everything's going to work.
Right.
Yeah. If I can get my hands on the actual drawing that Joe does, so I can show you and prove it. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. You're 100% right.
Yeah, the Midwest Run Nationals class list is up too.
Yeah, the run orders are all posted.
Yeah,
it's all there.
We had a pretty big jump in our Mod Turbo Super Farm class, by the way. My geez. It's a blue invasion from up north, I think. Foresters have signed up. Bull Rides signed up. Grahams have signed up. And then Zerby, I know they're not blue, but Zerby's too are signed up. Just holy smokes.
You guys have known the Forester clan long enough to know that if it's not the day before, they're not going to sign up. I love them guys to death. But I ate lunch with Corey Forester and Eddie Oker there at PRI. And yeah, they were. I think that the plan was to come then. I talked to Nathan Graham a couple weeks ago. He said they were planning on coming at least with one. I don't know if they signed one or both up, but yeah, no.
I want to put it out there too. 6250 light limited super stock final Saturday night. Mark Gable Memorial Jackpot, $1,000 from me. Somebody else get in on this. We want to make it the biggest payday for light limited super ever. If you want to get in on it, but I'm kicking $1,000 to the winner.
And that goes for anybody, Polar, fan, business.
Yeah, Polar, fans, whatever you guys want to do. We're open.
When are you guys all getting there? Wednesday?
I'll be there Wednesday night-ish, if not earlier.
Yeah, I'll probably miss test session, but I'll be there Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get Wednesday sometime or Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe Tuesday night. I need to talk to Clint and them. So
yeah, Chris, I don't care if it's unpainted. I want to see
I
that
don't
thing
care.
there.
Yeah,
After
get
what I
that
saw in
thing
Carolina, bring that
done.
sucker.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, is that bad 666 from Wisconsin signed up? You bet he is. He's coming. We've got 2 flights at 6250 too, man. It's Kentucky boys showed up for light limited this time.
My
Closer
deal
to
is
home.
only just so we're clear. My deal's for the final only.
62 on the finals.
It's a jackpot kicker. You got to get there to get it.
Yeah. For 1 limited pros, we might have a couple more of them signing up, but if you are from anywhere but Wisconsin and Minnesota, you get is it 1,000 just for making the finals, Zach?
I don't know.
For the 4-1 deal?
I don't know how they end up doing that. I don't know.
Yeah, Clint's got a deal going there.
I think it was on Facebook.
It's a
maybe.
call out 4-1 call out. You know
Yeah.
what? I got to find out what that deal is because we got to promote it harder. We're not doing our job.
I talked to
we
a
gotta
couple
get
more
that.
today that said they might sign up. I think we're going to get to an even 20 on 4-1s by the time it's all said and done, to be honest. And we're already at 18.
Just gotta keep pushing.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man. I'm just trying to think. Everything's going on in my mind. I had everything set, and now I've kind of lost my note sheet.
But you know,
Man,
you back
deleted
when
it.
you back to PRI a little bit, not change the subject, but I was impressed with the promotion of polling there this year. You know, with
Oh, yeah.
with cross threaded and the sled and Chad's truck and Brandon's tractor in the one haul, and it just shows the sport's growing. You know, I watched the Antron Brown interview with Full Pole and Dan Mayer, and Antron said, I used to always love track pulling growing up, and it's always amazed me to listen to these guys from other sports talk, and they're like, how do you get 5 motors to run together? Well, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. They've all got clutches. They don't need to run together, and it just it's amazing how it's a whole different world, even though they're in that world,
Yeah, that's exactly right. I just wish that one time we could get some of those guys to go down a track. I don't know how we work out a deal like that, but man, I'd
like to just get them to one of the, the Tomers or the BGs or the Chapel Hills of the world, and let them see it firsthand, Yeah.
Well, now some of you talk to, they'll tell you they've been before. I know that was the case whenever we were talking to Spencer Hyde. By the way, big shout out to him getting ready to tear it up in Funny Car for the NHRA Jim Head Racing this coming year.
Yep.
That was really neat to be able to be there for that.
Them guys saying they've been to polls before, you wonder what kind of show they've been to,
Well, Spencer told me it was the year that the modifieds had the motors leave.
That was Chris.
That was the year he was there.
He's been to Bowling Green before.
That was a fun year. We had just left and just had got on, head back towards Indiana, and I got on Facebook and I was like, well, we left about 20 minutes too early,
Yeah, that was back whenever they were still pulling on Sunday too.
Yeah, that was Sunday.
I happened to catch Kyle Loftus from 1320 video at the action.
Yeah, you did.
And then I saw him again at the BG booth as well. And I know that guy, have a relationship there. I'd love to get them 1320 video to be at Bowling Green or a big pulling event. They've done what's the
Wisner?
Yeah, they've been to Wisner, and by all accounts, they were amazed by what they saw and what they learned. But I think really we could open some eyes, not just with them, but with their engagement. They are huge in the YouTube world, and like I want them there. Like if we can get them to a Bowling Green or something else, like that'd be sweet.
I agree. I mean, that's what we need.
Yeah, we do.
To continue growing this place.
They've been at UCC. They've been to see that. So Like now we get them hardcore into the pulling world and show them what we do.
I'll tell you one of the conversations I really enjoyed too while we were there. Charles was on Saturday, and we were with Cody Fisher. That's his last name, right? Yeah, Cody. Talk about all the work that he did with Phillips's tractor and a few of the other ones that were there.
Them guys that does that tubing work probably amaze me as much as anybody. What they can do.
Yeah.
Yep. Cody has a style. I mean, it's once you know it, it's identifiable. What he can make happen with tube, it's insane what he can build. And I really got to highlight the paint job on that tractor. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it came out nice.
Fire.
It come out really good. Anything Brandon does comes out good. That kid is.
I was gonna say we both met Brandon. We know where this is gonna go.
You know, he built the manifold and stuff on our tractor. Not a lot of people know that, but the exhaust manifold, all that plumbing work he done on our tractor 5-6 years ago now.
Really?
Cody or Brandon?
Brandon.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah.
We.
Brandon's quiet. He's one of those guys that are moving in the background. You don't ever know what he's up to.
Some of you guys might know this. So a Ford turbo out of the factory sits backwards. It sucks its air from the firewall. Well, that worked fine in the 4.1, 4.25 turbo days. But when you get up to and there's still some guys that run them backwards. I think some of the super farms wide up your way still run them backwards. Some
all
of
them do.
And I finally decided I want to move this thing out front. And Brandon, we've been good friends for quite a while, and I called him one day and we were kind of bullshitting about it, and he said, "Let's bring it down here. I'll do it." So I actually took it down there the Tuesday night of farm show, dropped it off at Larry and Brandon's, left the trailer, everything, whatever, and he built it, and then he did some other stuff for us, moved the turbo out front, turned the turbo around, did all that stuff, built all the plumbing and stuff. Yeah. Of course,
I learned something tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you had that far of a drive from his shop to farm show anyway.
No, we dropped it and then went and ate dinner and went back to Louisville. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Chris, Sharon, you going to Harrisburg? I don't know about this year. It's on my list to go to. I've got to figure out what pulls I'm going to try to make for sure this year whenever I'm not driving or announcing.
But yeah, if you want Brandon if anything comes out of that shopper that Brandon touches is going to be absolutely beautiful. Regardless of what it is, from the shop to the tractors to anything.
Even with the green one now.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I never thought I'd see.
They're
honest.
I mean, the wedding venue, like
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't screw around. It's all awesome.
Yep. Nope. You can't find a better family either.
No, you can't.
Nope. 100%.
We all part next to each other and never we're at polls and all that stuff. I mean, it's a good time. That's for sure. I've acquired a nickname or two over the years by now.
I don't doubt that.
Okay, hold on. Time out. We got to hear that story.
I really don't know where it came from.
Don't even try to play. You can't do it. You don't know.
Besides me playing baseball, that's about the only way I know it came about. It's Acer. That's literally what my nickname is from them. Is Acer. Anytime Larry sees me, Ace, what are you doing?
I feel like there's other ones that you're withholding.
No, that's the main one.
Yeah, the main one. You're withholding.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Look at that smile. You are.
Nah.
My God.
Depends on who's around.
I'll let you off the hook.
Yeah.
Publicly.
Oh, I would tell you if we were on the air.
Uh-huh.
It's after 10:30. The kids have went to bed. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Motorsports Almanac after dark. Let's go.
Charles
So
and I, it's 10:45, so we're good.
So Cody, here's the thing. My other competitor did not show up for the sim racing challenge. I will say this. The sim guys need to think about tall people whenever they make these. Wyatt got a good picture of that one to testify for that.
Oh, that was amazing.
My freaking knees were hitting my elbows as I was turning the steering wheel. That
When you
was,
get in, when you sat yourself in the seat and you started hitting the steering wheel at every portion of your body as you hit the seat, greatest portion of it.
I walked over there and decided from about 20 foot away there was no way my fat, was fitting in that thing, so I just turned around and went the other way.
No, there was one you could have fit in because I was able to fit my longer end in it. They had to push the pedals all the way out, and they were like, hope you can fit. And I said, well, we're going to find out one way or another. But no, dude, the amount of technology that is into the Sims, too, and I knew there was a lot anyway, but just going down Sim Row was like, holy moly, this is crazy.
I was telling Charles at the banquet Saturday night, we were walking through the hall where Brandon's tractor was and Hot Shot and all them were. And it was over towards the one side before it opened up into the other hall. And I walked by this booth, and this guy catches us and says, what do you race? And I said, well, we're tractor pullers. And he goes, oh. He goes, well, we simulcast your race live on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So all your family and friends can watch it from your point of view while you're racing. And I'm like, well, that ain't going to work in our world unless you want to do it for 8 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it may be. But they literally can hook up to your car and simulcast a race from your helmet cam. So your family, if you're racing in Kentucky, your family in Washington State can watch it live.
Yep, we did talk about that.
That is neat.
It was neat as could be, but awesome. Never work in polling. I mean, it would, but what are you going to do for 15 seconds,
Golly,
yeah. That was my comment to you was like, it's not the juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze,
right?
To make it happen, but it's a cool idea. I do like it.
Yeah. Chris has a comment of the night. We need one of these sim racing things for the polling world. Never say never, I'd say. I'd say it's a possibility.
I didn't go down the sim row. I avoided this year because
we had that conversation why you didn't, because we both knew if you got one, then I was going to end up with one. Then I was going to figure out how to get it home.
Yeah, it would be a very expensive weekend for Charles if he continued to experience sim racing because he really, really wants one.
Yeah, I do too.
Bad.
But if I get one, it's going to be a pulling one if it ever comes to fruition.
No, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it. I don't care.
But here's the thing that I thought would be really neat if we ever did have a pulling one was the actuators on the seats, because you could see it whenever the guys were hitting the brakes. The seats were doing this number. So you can do it if whenever your tires sink down, your front end comes up. It's possible.
So that's actually...
There's a lot of potential. There's potential there after what I saw this weekend.
Well, and you heard me say this because I said it to multiple people. There are people who do teach others to race based on sim knowledge and how they experience the track and learn from that. And they will tell you that the experiential piece of it, the shaker seat and whatever, it's not worth it. You're not learning anything from that.
Yeah.
It's part of the fun, but you're not learning the hand-eye coordination. You're not deriving the response time, the ability to drive, the new stuff you need to learn to be able to be a better driver from that. So I would not spend $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on a shaker sim rig. I wouldn't do it. But would I spend $10,000 on something to do iRacing? You bet your ass I would. It's
Speaking of racing, I just before we jumped on there while I was waiting to get on, seen where the Chili Bowl's up to 308 midgets.
Ooh. And Christopher Bell's going back for the first time in what, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years?
I'd be lying if I didn't say the thought in the last couple of weeks to go there instead of
Cloverdale.
Cloverdale hasn't crossed my mind, knowing I don't have a tractor going this year, because the Chili Bowl's on my bucket list to do sometime.
yes, that
Me
would be.
too.
Me too.
My cousin, my uncle and my cousin raced midgets and sprints for 30 years. My cousin was USAC Rookie of the Year in like 2006 or whatever in the sprint car world. So we got one of the baddest bull rings in Indiana is 10 minutes from my house, Kokomo Speedway.
Yeah.
So we go there all the time in the summer, but the Chili Bowl is on my bucket list to go to.
I wouldn't.
I'm going to try to go to Hopstadt this summer. I'm going to try to go there.
Go where?
Hopstadt.
Oh yeah,
up there by it's about 20 minutes from Engler's Place.
Yep, but Kokomo Speedway is, they call it the baddest bull ring in Indiana, and it is that. It is awesome on a USAC night. There ain't nothing better.
Yeah, Chris Baker back on the simulation bar said, so for a puller that could work to teach a puller things, clutch release, different setups, etc.
Don't think so.
That's that. Yes, but it's going to be really hard to be able to do.
You're going to have to figure out a way, because any of us that have ever drove know that you use your clutch different on every piece of dirt you go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't.
Exactly. That's
it
the
would
one.
require the software to simulate something that
you never know.
You can't replicate that. It's you have to feel it. It comes up through the butt of your seat.
Yep.
To feel it. I've been lucky enough to do that a few times, and it's just you can't replicate that.
It would still, I think it would be great for pulling as a whole, though, or just
it'd be neat to have.
It'd be cool.
But you wouldn't have to take it to the extent of that, You
have to use it as entertainment value.
It'd be cool as a novelty and an engagement piece, and I want it for that because of the engagement piece. It gets people to interact with the sport, but if you're going to learn something from it, no, you're not.
I'll tell you the thing that would stick out to me the most. Do you see all these dirt leagues that go on with the iRacing? There's all these leagues and everything. Get that. We could have e-pulling leagues. I mean, talk about a way to get people into the sport. That's a way to do it.
I think that the sport of pulling has more eyes on it now than it has in a long time.
I agree.
You think it's a matter of time?
Due to numerous reasons, I think it's a matter of time before something like that happens. I just pray they make it better in a golf simulator, because them things ain't worth a hoot.
We found that out on a Friday night in Indy. Never I hit a 300-yard drive.
Yeah, right. You ain't your brother, so don't even.
Wow.
Damn. Can't forget, your brother and I played golf together more than once.
Damn.
What? I ain't even got to come back for that.
I didn't figure
No,
that.
No, you don't. Just be quiet.
But
I mean,
I think it's a matter of time.
I think for the entertainment value of the pulling simulator would just be
yes,
the biggest
man.
thing.
It'd be so much fun. I mean, how much fun did we have with pulling USA 2 and pulling USA whenever it was out on the phones whenever it first came out? We lost our minds.
I just played it last week.
Yeah, okay, me too. I wasn't going to admit it, but me too.
But I think it's a matter of time if this sport keeps getting the eyes on it is now, which I think it's going to keep going up and up with everything that's happening, and it's a matter of time before somebody jumps on it, and it might not be a sole game or whatever, but I think it's going to be a piece of a game somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Oh,
hey, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Boys, we're dang near 2 hours. Whoops.
Oh well.
Yeah.
We're having fun, so who gives a shit?
So Shane, you're wanting everybody to bring their stuff to Cloverdale.
Why am
Oh, I know where this is going. I know
Right?
where this is
Come
going.
on!
Where's
Let's
that?
go!
Where's that super farm?
I
It's
may
there.
or may not have a slight problem at the moment.
What's
Is-
that?
Something.
Do I need to bring it from Michigan?
That's what I was
I'm
going to say.
going
Does
anyway,
it come from Michigan?
so
'Cause
I'll bring it down.
I
Oh
can
no,
go-
it's here. It's here. I promise.
So what's the problem?
You know,
you need parts from Michigan.
No.
Hey,
All
Pat,
right,
what do we got to do to make this happen?
Nah. It's healthy. I've just got to tweak a couple of things before season starts.
Sounds
Well,
like you need
it's
to tweak the
December
driver.
17th. You got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
on.
know.
Come on.
do we need to call somebody just to drag it up there for you?
No.
As I already said, I'll bring it.
If you need
I'll
a
do it.
gooseneck, my trailer's sitting closer to you right now than it is me. So,
Oh, would you leave the trailer down here?
yeah. It's got a dealer plate on it. Go grab it. It'll be okay.
No, it don't either.
Do I have to scholarship your entry?
No.
I bet we get Tucker to do that.
Clint, where are you?
I'll be 1,000% honest. I'm not sure that the pipe it's got would work. I'll be 100% honest.
They sell exhaust pop every day.
They
Sean,
make
Shane.
pipe every day, dude.
I know,
Come
but
on.
Do we need to call Cody? Cody? Come on now. I'm hearing a whole lot of blah, blah,
I'm
blah.
over the excuses.
Mhm.
hey, if you're hearing blah blah blah, where the frick's yours at?
Broken in
I
a
know
million
you ain't
pieces.
talking.
I
Not
know,
you,
dude.
that one up there. Where's yours at, big boy?
In a million pieces.
Yeah, he did scatter the shit out of that one.
Yeah. So anyway.
Brother.
Do it. Do it.
When do you all when do you think we're gonna get farm show list, by the way?
I've
been sitting there refreshing my screen
after
all
we
night.
find out when you're coming to Midwest Winter Nationals with your super farm.
Whenever they put it online.
Whenever the committee feels like it.
I had heard today, but that didn't happen.
No, it didn't, because you're not pulling at Midwest Winter Nationals.
I'm not gonna hear the end of this for 2 weeks, am I?
Nope.
Jeez.
You have someone who's literally offering a trailer to get it there. Genius.
Will it fit?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Even with the height?
Oh, yeah.
I have a Sawzall. We'll figure this out.
Ah.
As long as you do it to the cage, not my trailer, that's okay.
My head's already hitting the top of the cage. I don't need no help there.
I'm sorry. Did I hear something about ego and tall cage?
I'm just wanting to make. I don't know if it would fit. I really don't.
You fit in a racing simulator, for God's sakes.
Zach, help me. Come on. We're going to do this.
I just texted his brother.
Can we just steal his tractor and then he has to do it?
I just texted his brother.
Cool. All right.
Shane, you're screwed, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Anyway.
Jeez.
You're
You're going to get me there or bust with it, aren't you?
So, Charles,
dude, you're going to do it. We're stealing your fucking tractor. Like, get comfortable with the idea. This is happening. All right.
Wait, which brother did you text?
Yes.
Which one?
Would it matter?
I might be safe.
No.
No, probably not.
Texas father, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Anyway, do we have any more topics we should go over before we call this thing?
Nope.
Yes,
All right.
we have a very important topic to discuss. Midwest Winter Nationals, whether or not Shane Hunt pulls at this event.
Terry is literally offering to come down from
There you go.
north
There
to
you go.
do this.
Done. You're smoked.
Danner, where's y'all's at? If y'all have the black, where's y'all's? I ain't seen y'all signed up yet either.
So Charles, which Grand National event you looking the most forward to going to?
Yes. I'm gonna get to knock off 3 bucket list hooks. Toma, Chapel Hill, and Bowling Green. I've been to Bowling Green, but never announced it. It's those 3 are just like.
Oh yeah, you've never been to Chapel Hill before either, have you?
No,
we talked about that Saturday night.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fun.
I ain't been in probably 8 to 10 years, but it is.
Gosh,
everybody's got to go to.
I cannot believe. Everybody's probably going to pound on me for being too humble about this, but I really do. I'm serious. This is insane that I get to do this.
You deserve
Unbelievable.
I told you that Saturday night. You deserve it.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you.
You absolutely do.
I wouldn't bring you to announce my little podunk show in Green Tucky, Indiana, if I didn't think you deserved it.
Green Tucky, Indiana.
Dude, I want to do that deal. That's going to be fun. And I think
it's going to be bigger than last year. We'll just get Mother Nature to quit being a bitch.
I think it's going to work. I think it's going to work. I can't wait to be
Lord. There. Oh, my Lord. No, I would say Chapel Hill. I went 1 year, and it's the 1 year that everybody said I brought the rain with me. And yeah,
God, that was a wet year. Shoo.
You'll have fun at these events. You're going to knock off.
Yeah. Even if it rains, you're going to have fun on Friday night in Chapel Hill.
So I'll Charles knows this. We talked about Saturday night, but so being that Tampico fell off of the IPL schedule.
When that happened?
2 weeks ago. Which is also Toma weekend. The top 3 points tractors in IPL are probably going to make the trip to Wisconsin for the weekend.
50th anniversary, yes.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hell yes.
I didn't realize this until NTPA weekend. It was brought up to me that this is not new. The role that I'm playing, it was something that Doc Riley did in the 90s, and Ed Johnson did in the 70s and 80s. So I'm the third one to do it, and that makes my head explode.
Didn't Hartzell do it 1 year?
He did not.
Did he? He just did the TV thing, didn't he?
He did the TV thing.
Okay.
So for me to be the third one to
awesome.
do this, geez, I can't. I got nothing. I just blown away, absolutely blown away.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing some things right. I mean, I like it or not, you got to give them some credit for some of the stuff they're doing. To me, moving the banquet to Florida, I know it ruffled some feathers on some region guys and stuff, but my mother-in-law and I were sitting here talking Saturday night, we got on the banquet, and most of you know who she is. They pulled a long time, had the sleds a long time, but she sit there and she said, what they used to say back in the day when they were doing it was the wives would now it's changed a little bit, but the wives would basically say, hey, you've been pulling all summer long. I don't want to go to Central Ohio in December for a banquet. I want to go somewhere we can take the family, go on vacation, make a week out of it, and get out of the cold.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a lot to that. I was when I heard that, I was like, that's awesome. You know?
Yeah, there's going to be an opportunity as well for, I don't know how many, 2, 3, 4, 5 pullers to have their vehicle be present in that venue where tourists can see it and interact with us as a motorsport, and it will be paid for by the association. So there's something cool there that's gonna drive more eyeballs onto us, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I don't care who does it or what does it. If you can get more eyes on this sport, that's the biggest thing about it all.
Yeah.
100%. I'd like to see next year at PRI, whether it's Full Pole or Love or whoever it is, get one of the pro stocks that's done up real good under the hood and put in a booth.
I agree.
Whether it's Rhett's, whether it's one of Simon's, any of them that are done up, under the heck, take triple bypass. Something that's done up under the hood that is just, light years above anything. Shelton's, one of their new pro stocks, something like that, and put it in there and give people a little different look. Obviously, I'm a diesel guy. We all are here, except for Charles. I just think you give a different look to that. Yeah, the crosshair, that was awesome. People all over it, but bring something that's a different, look to it.
Yeah, Full Pole was doing something good with their engagement this past weekend with PRI. They were getting the right eyeballs on on what we're doing, and a lot of people don't like that. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Like they're doing the right thing. They were doing the right thing. It was beneficial to us.
My dad tells a story. They had his tractor and John Heilman's mod on display. It was either the Indiana State Fair or the Ohio State Fair one time back in around the 90 time frame, and everybody was around Heilman's mod until the side shields come off of the Super, and then it was like, oh my god, there's 4 turbochargers under that hood. How does that work? And I think you just need to expand on that a little bit and show everything different we can do.
Yep.
What the sport does.
I think Brandon's tractor did a little bit of that in the Tycon booth as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. 100% agreed. Mm-hmm. And
heck, Brandon's diesel Super's been.
Yeah. 2 years ago, was it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the prettiest that tractor's been.
So funnily enough, something that happened Saturday afternoon, I was doing my interview with Dan Mayer for Full Pole, and we caught out of to our side, we saw a guy with a T-shirt of Gary Collins' Big Bud Boss. And we didn't know at the time who it was, but we interacted with it. And then after, when we were done, come to find out it was Rob Reed, who's doing all of these videos now on YouTube where he's finding these guys and interviewing everybody. And what a cool
dude. Like Rob's Garage or something?
Rob's Garage, yes.
He did banners.
Rob Guy's Garage. He's the dude. And so we got to meet him and spend some time with him. That's what we really, really need, is somebody who has the time and can do what he is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Huge supporter. Dan and I are both on board. Whatever he needs, We're going to supply him with the background to make those stories go. It's super cool. He's doing something that there is a need for in our sport. Couldn't be a bigger fan or champion of that guy if I tried. Like, it was awesome to get to meet him.
Dan's going to be a huge asset in his role too.
Yes, he is. He's got the right. He does it right. For what? So I look at my spot as the live guy, whereas Dan's the TV style. So he's the Brian Loans, if you will. I'm the Alan Reinhardt, and it just our personal styles work in our particular roles, and it's really cool. And I want to work with him. I love the guy. It's going to be good.
Agreed.
Yep.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I got nothing. I think we hit everything.
We can continue this off screen.
All right. I say we stick a fork in this one. What y'all say?
Yep.
It's all good, dude.
Yeah. All right, y'all. For everyone that stuck around for this super long edition of Motorsports Almanac, thank y'all. We will be back. Shoot, Charles, when are we going to be back? Is it the one time, all time?
Yeah, we probably ought to put some thought into that.
We need to discuss that after the show's over. We'll make an announcement.
Let's put it out to everybody, because I think it'd be fun for everyone else to engage with this as well.
Definitely. But we will post that up of when that's going to happen, guys. But until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all later.
Peace.